Football is upon us, and I can say with no irony that this actually looks like a pretty fun one. We have Detroit and Baltimore today, a game with 53 implied points right now between the two teams. So pretty high scoring potentially here. Got a lot of options to choose from, a lot of fun. We're going to do what we always do here on this channel, prepare for these showdown slates on Mondays, on Thursdays, the main slates on Fridays and Sunday mornings. We're going to look at projections. We're going to look at ownership from our friends at Stochastic. Pop over to ETR, see what the other side of the fence thinks about projections, the optimal lineups, as well as some of the top sim lineups. We'll hop back to Stochastic, run a sim. I'll do a hand build. And by the end of this video, you'll know 3 ways to build unique lineups on today's slate with 500K up top on DraftKings. So let's get into it here. Shout out to the chat. We got our guy OG Mans fan here. Most anticipated show. I appreciate that. I am the KY. Glad to talk to him here. Glad to see him supporting the show and in the Discord. Glad to see that. My guy Justin here. Happy to see all you guys. Of course, as you're coming in, hit that like button, subscribe, and of course, check out Stochastic if you want to see the data I'm showing you on screen. But hope it was a good Sunday for you guys. Actually, it was a very profitable week for me, which I was pretty happy with because it's been up and down to start the season, which is not unexpected. But you guys know how the mental game we always talk about here, important part to keep yourself not too high, not too low. And it's always nice to see things be good instead of bad. That said, for the slate yesterday was definitely, I would say, a tough one amidst all that stuff. Trey Tucker wins the Million Maker, which I got to say was not a player that was on my radar. But the good news here is we know the most important plays on this slate, a game where very star-studded. So I don't know, hopefully we'll have some good times today. Carry some momentum forward is my hope here. Detroit, 24.5 implied points. Baltimore, 28.5 implied points in this one. The big things that stand out to me is you got a lot of guys that are well projected in this game. And really, let's go through the projections on the screen instead of me looking at my Excel sheet. Lamar Jackson, your top projected guy at 24.2 fantasy points. Obviously, someone that we know in every slate and every showdown slate in particular, going to be a player that is going to be highly targeted, highly owned, highly placed in a roster as a captain as well. For Lamar in this spot, big thing that people may remember is a couple of years ago, Lamar went absolutely nuts in a game versus the Lions, threw for over 350 passing yards. I believe it was 3 passing touchdowns in that game, ran for 1 rushing touchdown as well. They didn't have a massive game on the ground in that. I was looking through the box score before this one, and I still have it open. He had, this is the games from this week. He had that last time that he played, and it doesn't really matter, 1 game sample size, whatever. But they destroyed the Lions this one, 38-6 back in 2023. Lamar, 357 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks taken, runs 9 times for 36 yards and a touchdown. Gus Edwards had an 80-yard completion this game. So it shows you how well things were running for the Ravens when Gus Edwards can scamper like he is a young Barry Sanders. Zay Flowers, no touchdowns this one, but puts up 75 yards on 4 catches. Mark Andrews, 2 touchdowns this game. Nelson Aguilar rearing his ugly head. Now we have new Nelson Aguilar, and of course, old man DeAndre Hopkins. Shout out Charles. Saw Charles mentioned on Peach Stream right before this. Good week for you in Underdog. Hope that paid you out nicely, Charles. I didn't see the exact amount, but glad to see our guy Go AZ Cards here. Derrick Henry, your number 2 projected guy, 18.6 projection. Really, all these guys here: Derrick Henry, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Zay Flowers, Jahmyr Gibbs. The rest of the top 5, Jared Goff, not too far behind. You have 6 guys you really wish you could play in a lineup. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to do that. But the top of the order here, Derrick Henry. So far this year, I would argue, despite the good week 1, really bad week 2, it's not looking great in terms of the underlying numbers, in terms of usage. Really, the Ravens not getting the red zone enough overall. But so far in the year, Derrick Henry with only 1 red zone opportunity a game, a 0.5 inside the 10-yard line. Last year, we're talking about a 5 overall, I believe is what he had. Might have been closer to 2.5, 3 in the red zone. Like, he had really good work overall. Derrick Henry also missing less tackles than last year. It stood out to me as part of why Derrick Henry was so great last year. Had a 20% avoided tackle rate through 2 games. He's down to 10%. Doesn't mean he's going to hold forever. He hopefully will continue to play better. But for Derrick Henry, I think that for him in the spot, trying to buy in on him being better is definitely appealing. The tough part is that there's so many guys I want to play, and really, to me, in this game, playing Lamar, playing Jahmyr Gibbs are priorities for me. Playing Derrick Henry, I think, is a little bit lesser priority with how the usage has been. He's really not involved in the pass game at all. Only getting 0.5 targets a game right now, so just basically has 1 target through 2 weeks. For Derrick Henry, it's not good unless the Ravens are running really hot, and the hope is that he gets you a touchdown or 2. So might even be a thing where if you're playing Derrick Henry, play him more at captain, I think is a consideration. But Derrick Henry, your number 2 projected guy, but just not far enough ahead of Amon-Ra St. Flowers. And thank you. My turn coming up. Want to see a 50K DFS one? I would love to see that too. Charles, you're not alone. in that hope. And right now I'm taking 4x profits on a week, and I'm happy about it. But yeah, definitely, look, best ball payouts hopefully looking good. And again, we're not doing a best ball weekly review video, but that's honestly shocked. I was talking about it in the Discord. Shocked to see that my best ball portfolio is like hanging in pretty well, because my teams technically are so fucking injured right now with no Jaden, no Justin Fields, two of my highest owned QBs. Bucky's frankly getting his ass kicked by Jonathan Taylor, the same draft spot. But I'm hanging in with above average advance rates and really good ones in some of the smaller tournaments like the Pit Bowl. So we'll see with best ball. That's my big hope for the year. DFS, it'd be nice, but we'll do the work regardless. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 18.3 fantasy points here. 10-4 salary, so right next to Derrick Henry and his 10-2 salary. Lamar being the highest price by a decent margin at 11-8. For Amon-Ra at this point, we've seen him spike last week in the old school, the older version of Detroit's offense before Ben Johnson moved on. It would be a thing where you'd have an Amon-Ra week, then it'd be a kind of a course correction the next week where you get the running game involved more, you get Jameson Williams involved more. Not sure how it's going to grow right now with John Morton taking over, but on the season, Amon-Ra's doubling up the targets per out run of Jameson Williams. Amon-Ra in about 33.5 routes per game, JMO at 34, so dead even. Amon-Ra's got a 25.4% target per out run rate. JMO's at 13.2. I would think that evens out a little bit, but it does seem to me like through 2 weeks, it really just comes down to everybody else in the roster. Like JMO's not really getting targeted a lot. Gibbs, when he's running around, 31% target rate. David Montgomery, when he's running around, a 26% target rate. Sam Laporta, when he's running around, a 22% target rate. So like even Brock Wright, who's not playing a ton, but he's getting targeted 27% of the time he's running around. It does stand out kind of like a sore thumb to see Jameson Williams' workload. Isaac Tesla coming in maybe makes that fragile as well, or playing more potentially. How much he plays, we'll find out. But that's something where they have talked about wanting to get him on the field more. I worry a little bit about JMO, but that could also make him more appealing to spike upside-wise. I would say for me, too, on this slate where you have Zay Flowers priced at $8,400, and I think it's one of the worst prices we've had in a showdown slate. Hence, my shocked face in the thumbnail next to AI-enhanced Zay Flowers face. He's so cheap, but Zay Flowers, I think people are going to expect that. That makes, to me, Jameson Williams also very live as a pivot in lineups where I don't go Zay Flowers captain, don't go Zay Flowers in the flex. So JMO, I think, has utility, but Amon-Ra, really, the point is that he has a much more dominant target share so far. The red zone role has also been a lot better for Amon-Ra, getting 3.5 red zone targets a game, 2 inside the 10-yard line. JMO's at 0.5, just red zone targets and nothing inside the 10-yard line yet. Amon-Ra seems to be differentiating himself in a role where last year, I kind of thought with, at least with Ben Johnson, seemed like they're getting closer in terms of usage, overall, stuff like that. Thank you. Expect a 100K win for me in Best Buy. I mean, you're expecting a lot from me, Charles, more than from myself, but dare to dream. There's a shopping mall. Now it's all covered with flowers. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. You paved paradise and you put up a parking lot. I don't know what we're referencing here, but they seem relatively germane. Zay Flowers at number 4. I think he's the best play in the slate. 18 fantasy points, $8,400 salary. Again, he's in this price tier with Derrick Henry, with Amon-Ra St. Brown, with Jahmyr Gibbs, or in this projections here rather, but so much cheaper. So unfortunately, Talking Heads, not one of my strengths of knowledge. I do know they exist, but I don't know a lot of their catalog. I'm sure I would know songs if I heard them, but yeah, not off the top of my head. So I apologize. I can't know all the things. I try, but I can't. Zay Flowers, really one of those guys to me, standing out so much with the underlying numbers on the year through 2 weeks, a 40% target per out run rate, 10 targets per game, 2.5 deep targets per game as well. The red zone stuff still not there for him. He hasn't gotten a single red zone target yet, though the Ravens really haven't been in the red zone that much. For Zay, though, he's been efficient, a 0.6 EPA per target. It's incredibly good for a guy getting that level of volume. I'm very into Zay at his price tag at $8,400. The big thing is that I expect him to be in the solver when he run in a moment with ETR's data. He's going to be in 100% of those top 25 lineups. I guess if I had to guess 2, he's going to come up a lot in ownership. I haven't looked at ownership in much depth. He's going to be a very obvious play, but I think just on the face of, ignoring the game theory, how ownership works, all that, Zay Flowers is the best play in the slate, besides Lamar, who's probably going to make a winning lineup 99 times out of 100. Jahmyr Gibbs at number 5. Workload for Jahmyr Gibbs in the pass game looking really good. Again, that 31% target per out run rate, 6.5 targets per game. He's also getting 4.5 red zone opportunities a game. David Montgomery getting more inside the 10-yard line, so that still remains the power back role there with Montgomery. 2 red zone opportunities inside the 10-yard line a game. Gibbs at 1 flat, so that can flip, obviously. For right now, it does seem like they're going out of the way to feed Montgomery a little bit more in the power areas. But Gibbs, I still think another one of the strongest plays in the slate. He's going against a Baltimore team as well that has not been particularly good versus the run, giving up a 0.08 EPA per run play so far. Not missing a ton of tackles, 6.5% there. But they are giving up a lot of RB targets, a 22% target rate. That's RB is one of the highest marks in the league so far. And it's not been super efficient, negative EPA on those plays. But when you open up more opportunity to get targets to the RB, that just opens up the Gibbs PPR scam and the floor that comes up with that. So I do think for Gibbs, another player here, he and Zay Flowers, I want to have in a lot more lineups than not. And I love Derrick Henry, love Amon-Ra St. Brown. These guys are all going to be your core you should be cycling in. But I think in how I'm viewing the slate right now, want to prioritize Zay and Gibbs a little bit more. But yeah, we'll see how the ownership looks because everybody else may feel that way too. Do I favor Gibbs over Sun God, or are they about equal in your eyes? I would favor Gibbs over. Look, I think the touchdown equity to me seems a little more clear for Amon-Ra St. Brown versus the other receivers. Like I think Laporta has some touchdown equity, but they're not really so far using Jameson Williams in that way. Whereas Gibbs for the touchdowns, you are competing with Montgomery pretty heavily with him, getting 2x to work so far in the, inside the 10-yard line when you have the highest opportunity to get those touchdowns. So I still like Gibbs more, but honestly, like projection wise, I think you probably should like Amon-Ra more. But obviously they're very close here with Amon-Ra at 18.3, Gibbs at 17.4. And besides that, Jared Goff at a 16.98 projection, $9,400 salary. I think a lot of lineups on the optimizer in a moment are going to include Zay Flowers, Jared Goff, and then I think maybe cramming in Lamar because the projection's so high, but we'll see in a moment here. I'm curious to see how it looks though, because this really salary tiers are tough. Mark Andrews, 4,400, nice price tag for him. He's been awful so far this year. Negative 1.1 EPA per target effectively every time Lamar has tried to throw him the ball. He's cost the team about 1 point in performance. That's not what you want your elite tight end to be. Only a 10.5% target per out run rate too, so not a great number there too. But he is getting one red zone target a game, and that red zone target is usually inside the 10-yard line with one per game there. So for Mark Andrews, touchdown equity there. He did score 2 touchdowns last time out, again, versus the same Detroit team. We don't care about that stuff. It's one game. It doesn't matter that much, but it is something to flag that maybe he can do it again. Mark Andrews, lowly projected here by comparison, but he is a guy at 4,400. We'll see what the value metrics look like. Rashad Bateman's been awful so far to start the season. Unfortunately, getting really outproduced by DeAndre Hopkins. Also really inefficient in terms of EPA, negative 0.2 EPA per target. For comparison, and this is absolutely batshit, but it's mostly because Hopkins keeps getting touchdowns and stuff, and also like deep shot plays. DeAndre Hopkins is a 1.6 EPA per play, so effectively adding about 1.5 points every time Lamar's tried to throw him the ball. And for comparison, Bateman's taking away 0.2 each time they're targeting him. Bateman is playing really poorly to start the year, but he is still getting 4 targets a game, playing 35 routes in comparison. Hopkins playing 14, or 35 snaps rather. Hopkins playing 14. So you're hoping this game, and we'll see how the ownership looks, is that people overplay Hopkins, underplay Bateman. There's compelling ways to build today is the main point here, even though the top 5, really top 6 with Jared Goff, they all stand on their own and really strong projections, all that. Let's see. Would like to know why Baltimore gave Bateman the bag. I think they gave Bateman the bag because they wanted to pay him to show you're still a part of what we're trying to do here, but maybe a way to placate him about Hopkins coming in because they did want to give Hopkins a meaningful amount of work. I thought Hopkins was not a bad click in particular in best ball, but I've been surprised to see him get the level of usage he's gotten so far. Again, they're not in the red zone a lot, so he has no red zone targets yet, but he's getting 1.5 deep targets a game, 27 air yards per target. I think that's skewed a little bit because he had one really deep target, if I'm remembering correctly, that he turned into a touchdown. But, underlying, like he's got a 22% target per out run rate. Bateman has a 20%. They're not that far off. It's just that Hopkins seems to be getting the better targets now. Like last year, you might remember if you're watching a lot of Ravens stuff, or if you had Bateman in DFS or in best ball, he had a lot of plays where he was getting long touchdowns, getting the ball on end zone targets. It kind of seems like that's now going Hopkins' way, which is not really what you want to see for Bateman. So buying it on Bateman tonight, I think is a nice bounce back because Hopkins actually has decent box scores, but Hopkins is more expensive, so might come out in the wash. Let's sort by value here for the showdown slate. Again, guys, if you get any value out of this video, please show some love. Subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. If you're watching on Twitter, hit the like button on there. A follow on there. My videos, when they are live, Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 9 a.m. We do filter everything through the YouTube and Twitter, so show some love. Again, I'm always fighting the YouTube algorithm. And really for you guys, want to just quickly shout out, getting a ton of likes on videos lately, and it is always a battle against YouTube's algorithm, but I appreciate you guys showing your appreciation for the content. But please keep hitting it. Keep allowing me to kind of get some engagement going because I'm certainly not playing the promotional game that well, but I show up and do the work, I think, as well as anybody in the game here for these particular types of slates that I played myself. Yeah, so let's keep that momentum going. It was honestly nice to see. Got 100 likes on the Final Takes video yesterday, and that's like the ultimate non-evergreen video. I have like 1 hour for people to watch, and then they watch other shit. Top values, Charlie Kolar. Charlie Kolar was a guy I've tried to play on Ravens Showdown slates so far this year, and it didn't work out before. He's $600. He's your top value according to Stochastic right now with a 2.2 projection at $600. Kolar, not very involved so far. In fact, doesn't look like he's gotten a target on the year, at least one that counts. As a result, he's got no other metrics that matter, but he is playing 32 snaps per game, 11 routes per game. If for comparison, Mark Andrews playing 41.5 snaps, 19 routes. It's not a big disparity there. Isaiah Likely not playing again. So you got one more week for Charlie Kolar to hit, maybe also his swan song, because it seems like Likely should get back to the mix sooner than later, I would guess next week. For Charlie Kolar, I don't think he's a bad play in the slate. I'll be playing some of them tonight. We'll see what the ownership is in a minute, but I think he's interesting as a value play. Isaac Tesla, the workload should come up for him a little bit. The snap counts for him so far this year. Let me see if I can pull that up on my Excel. So Tesla played 3 snaps week 1, 17 week 2. So we're seeing the route growth there. Tim Patrick, 7 in week 1. Actually, he's not even on the team anymore. Why am I looking him up? Khalif Raymond is the one we're looking for. Khalif Raymond, 44 snaps week 1, 32 week 2. So the hope would be for Tesla that you get less Khalif Raymond, more Tesla. I guess it's possible to play those two guys together in a lineup, but I would, because of that, I'd probably say max 1 if you're doing rules for stuff in the lineup between Tesla and Khalif Raymond. But Tesla has a nose for the end zone. They've shown a willingness to get on the ball, those high value situations. Again, the routes aren't that high because the snap count's not that high. But him getting there on one play at $1,200. Tesla's another guy I would like to be with the field and ownership on. I think it's a day for me today where I like the cheap tier more based on how I'm viewing the slate from the prep I did before the show. Justice Hill. Justice Hill's been really bad. The Ravens are a weird team. Of course, my data sheet, which you guys get access to if you join the channel and the Discord, actually, you'll see them just on YouTube as well, but both you get access to my data sheet. Point being, it's a weird team because like you have the EPA metrics, and I have green for a bunch of players here where like Derrick Henry looks really good. He's actually been efficient per run, 0.02 EPA per run, 0.45 EPA per target on the one target he's had so far. Zay Flowers has been really good, 0.6 EPA like we talked about. Hopkins really good, a 1.6 EPA. And then it's like Justice Hill, awful. Negative 0.8 EPA per rush, negative 0.6 EPA per pass. That'd be incredibly bad if you kept that up over the course of a year. Rashad Bateman playing really badly with a negative 0.2 EPA per target. Mark Andrews, like we talked about, him playing incredibly badly as well. Negative 1.1 EPA for him. Like there's guys playing really well and there's guys playing incredibly bad. And I'd expect them all to kind of find some middle ground here because you usually don't have that disparity, across an offense. So for Justice Hill, he's been really bad, but he shouldn't be bad forever, especially with him getting, 22.5 snaps per game. That's basically the same amount that David Montgomery's getting right now. A lot less touches. Justice Hill's getting 5 instead of touches a game. That's rushes plus targets. David Montgomery's getting 13.5. But they're out there a similar amount. So I don't think Justice Hill is totally dead. He's played awful to start. And I certainly think there's some game scripts that 2,800 could pay off. So again, I like the cheap tier here. The top value guys, Kolar, Tesla, Justice Hill. Mark Andrews at 4,400, also a top value. You've talked about him. He's probably going to get a touchdown at some point. Is that enough to make a winning lineup tonight? I think it might be at 4,400. Rashad Bateman also has to get some flippening of DeAndre Hopkins. I don't think he's totally this dirt worst player after he was actually pretty good last year. So Bateman, also another player. If you don't play Zay Flowers, Bateman should be more appealing. Hopkins should be more appealing. Andrews should be more appealing. Just that push-pull dynamic where you still want to capture this really high total for Baltimore with that 28.3 implied points. You want to capture that somehow, and if Zay Flowers doesn't get there, it's the most likely chalky play. Bateman certainly has a better shot. All right, let's go to the ownership next. Check this out here. Lofty projection for Andrews based on his usage so far. I mean, again, your defaults to the longer-term sample size, Stochastic in particular. I mean, really, I think any data provider will do that because that's what you want to do with data. That said, Andrews, bad end of the run last year, obviously catastrophic playoff end. Then you get to this year and he's playing even worse, I would say. You could have concerns about him turning the corner in the bad way, but he's still out there a good amount. I still think you want to take a shot. And look, I don't know. Let's quickly look on. I like to use Gambly for my quick searches of an anytime touchdown bet. Anytime TD, Mark Andrews. Let's see if this works fast. It's like an AI thing. Frankly, a better version of what, well, I don't know if the data is as good as what we had it probably, but the AI stuff, what I wish I'd built with my betting startup. Mark Andrews at plus 200. I'd take that bet. What a fucking rip, by the way, in the pick'ems. That's what, now that they're not sponsoring the show, what plus 155? Like, unfucking believable that it's that bad. The Bet Rivers ripping you off too. It's crazy to see DraftKings and FanDuel having the best odds, and Fanatics too. Shout out to the big providers not fucking fleecing you to death. But really, Pinnacle, pretty good odds here, relatively. So I like Mark Andrews for an anytime touchdown is the main point here. But that said, yeah, he has been awful. So you're not wrong there. Top owned players right now, according to Stochastic data here. We got Lamar Jackson, 71% ownership overall, 20% expected at captain. That honestly feels kind of light at captain, but you do have guys you can go to here to try to get, Cam Scadaboo being a captain yesterday. You can make that pivot today. Go to Zay Flowers at much cheaper. Go to Jared Goff. Go to JMO. Go to Amon-Ra. Go to Derrick Henry. You want to dig down deeper. You can try your Batemans. Projection wise, it gets a little bit tough. Laporta, same thing. I guess you have enough appealing captains to go through that aren't Lamar that maybe that keeps that ownership in check. But Lamar, just based on the projection, the fact that he's like 6 points higher than the next guy, I think you want more Lamar at captain than not. Wouldn't lock it or anything, but to me, 33% Lamar at captain, half the lineup's a captain with Lamar. That's how I would try to approach it. Zay Flowers, 17% at captain, 53% ownership overall. For Zay Flowers in this spot here, looking pretty good for Zay overall. Love the price tag for him. That said, it looks good for everybody because the price is so low, the projection's so high. The fact he's going to be captain chalk makes me not feel great about it. Two, still love Zay Flowers as a player. But man, it's a lot of ownership for Zay, unfortunately, and I think ETR is also going to force feed him at a good rate. Jared Goff, 50% ownership overall, 6% captain. Certainly a player that can hit if you are putting in multiple pass catchers. I would not play Jared Goff at captain. There's only one pass catcher in the flex. For Jared Goff at 9,400, though, he's a little bit cheaper, allows you to cram in a few more guys, and he is also well projected. Again, just outside that tier of top projected guys. Well behind Lamar Jackson, but not that far off Gibbs, not that far off Zay Flowers, not that far off Derrick Henry, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Derrick Henry, Amon-Ra, 48% ownership overall, 13% of captain, coming off the big box score game, it being a Monday night slate. I think Amon-Ra gets more than appropriately owned. Wouldn't shop if he gets to 15% or so as well. Not that that's a big change between the 13 they have projected here, but I would expect the upper band of ownership for him. Haven't had the big box score game for Jameson Williams. Amon-Ra, touchdown equity's been higher. I think trying to flip that here would not be a crazy thing to do. And Derrick Henry, 47% expected ownership overall, 10% of captain. Bad box score game last week probably keeps the casual ownership in check. A little bit on the Monday night island game slate. But, Derrick Henry, I think, not sneaking up at anybody here, definitely deserves to be one of the top 5 captains. And I think 10% ownership feels about right to me. He definitely has the biggest downside where, I feel like playing him only at captain, if I were to make the choice, fading him in the flex might be a viable move, but certainly I think he gets back on track and scores a touchdown today. That last game was so bad. Coming into spots where the Browns, called him out beforehand, said they could tackle him easily. Kind of a bad showing for Derrick Henry last time. Let's see. Is that far off penny odds? This is news we're missing. I mean, it just means that I guess DraftKings and FanDuel haven't caught up to what Pinnacle's odds are. Pinnacle has it priced very aggressively. That's a pretty big EV. I would think. I obviously can't do the calculation offhand here, but I would think that's decent enough EV to take that bet on DraftKings and FanDuel based off the fact that Pinnacle's pricing it at plus 174 and they have it at plus 200. And shout out Dante here, turn on his rate. My kid is not here. My kid's at daycare, thankfully. But yeah, you missed on Stochastic yesterday. Luca storming into the room because we had gone Cars 3 because Alex was leaving for her flight in the same time period I was going to be on a Live Before Lock show. And Luca busts in because he was scared of the fucking demolition derby bus in Cars 3, which admittedly is scary. She spits fire and stuff. He likes school buses, so to see the scary school bus was a thing. But he was adorable. I probably didn't milk his cuteness enough. So I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me, man? And then the dog got out and then she took his snacks off the table. It was a whole thing. So thank you to all you guys who watched that one yesterday, but that was fucking harrowing. All All right, let's go down in ownership here. Anybody who's low owned, a Tesla at 14% ownership overall, definitely don't play him at captain. I think you would need like multiple guys to get hurt. JMO seems low owned at 28%. David Montgomery, same thing. These guys can both easily have a 2-touchdown day if the game script goes a certain way. And I do think for JMO in particular, he is due for more targets coming his way at some point. Just the underlying rates. He can't be behind fucking Brock Wright forever in terms of target share per route run. He's out there a ton as well. Justice Hill will be playing a lot, third and long situations, passing down situations. There's not using Derrick Henry for that at all so far to start the year. Kickers seem a little lightly owned on the slate. Skill position guys definitely a priority, but can easily have drives stall out. We know Detroit doesn't love to kick it still right now in fourth and short situations, but Jake Bates can still be in 50-yard kind of kicking situations. Same thing for Tyler Loop. So both guys making sure you're with the field's ownership for kicker I think is important on this slate. Defense is not get played at all. 8% Lions, 7%, or 7% Lions, 8% Ravens. I will say Lamar's getting pressured a lot, 45% pressure rate for him. He's getting sacked at 11% rate. The Lions aren't generating a crazy amount of pressure, only a 14% rate, which would be right now towards the lower half of the league. A hurry rate of 5%. They get sacked 7% of the time. It's not bad. They can get there in sacks. Lamar throwing a sloppy turnover. He does obviously play hero ball for the better a lot, but sometimes some bad hero ball as well. I think that's a possibility. So don't rule out defense entirely. If you get them in a lineup, I think playing some would not be crazy. Just the tough part is that I do like those values. I like those guys under the prices of the defense, but so will other people. So maybe that makes Ravens and Lions defenses more of an option than it would be normally. Let's go build a cash game lineup using ETR data. Let me make sure it's not going to log me out because I hate when it does that. Let's go showdown captain mode. We have sims for this one. We do have sims for it. And let's build a cash game lineup here. So what we're trying to do is find that optimal lineup here using ETR data. So we'll get a read right away what a lot of the field will be playing. And then also you'll know what the cash game lineup is if you are a true degenerate playing cash games for Monday Night Football slate. I guess, it's not that degenerate. If you're doing that, frankly, playing cash games can be a responsible part of bankroll management. So I shouldn't shit on people playing cash games. But if you're playing one at 12:30 p.m. and it locks at this time period, then you're a degenerate. Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, Zay Flowers, Sam Laporta, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman. I think that's not a surprise to me. Zay Flowers gets in. A little bit surprised maybe we didn't put Zay at captain to cram in some more star players, but you still have a bunch of starters. You got 2 tight ends with Laporta and Andrews. And Bateman has not been great to start the year, but that longer-term sample size make that projection pop better. Mike Evans, bum hamstring. Yeah, that was a bummer. I mean, the hope is that it wasn't that serious because he was still moving around on it okay. But frankly, Emeka Egbuka, with like Godwin about to come back, this guy gets God-tier runouts every possible situation. If Evans goes down, and I don't know, didn't look great in that game. Nothing fucking looked great. Bucky needs to stop getting his ass kicked by Jonathan Taylor. I guess I just really need him to be hanging close enough here. But holy shit, like he and Saquon both in that same range. Just every week, I'm like, I did not take enough Jonathan Taylor. And these guys, I'm seeing teams right around this range that have Jonathan Taylor. I'm just getting fucking slaughtered. It's not fun right now. So please, Bucky Irving, get better. Josh Grizzard, get me some more Bucky Irving. Lamar Jackson at 100% of these lineups. I'm surprised to see him be the only one here, but relative to projection, not surprised at all to see a Lamar Jackson of 100%. 48% of these top 25 lineups have him as captain, 52% in the flex. So Lamar right away, if you want to really get unique on the slate, and unfortunately, this will be one of our 3 rules at the end, fade Lamar Jackson. Do I think there's a shot Lamar Jackson does make the winning lineup? There's a shot. I literally do think, though, it's like 1 out of 100, maybe. It's mathematically, it'd be higher than that. It's probably like 5 to 10 out of 100. But I want to play Lamar in every lineup. I know you're all going to play Lamar in every lineup. That's what makes it appealing to not play Lamar in some lineups, especially if you're putting in 150. If you're playing 20 maxes, I wouldn't begrudge you just taking Lamar out of a 20 max you put into the quarter, like I did this weekend. The best thing that worked for me this weekend was only playing stacks that I hand chose, letting the projections do the rest and the sims do the rest. The one where I flat faded the RBs did not work this week. If you're following along with my little game theory, I wanted to try out in some 20 maxes. And then the one where I locked in Jordan Mason and Kenneth Walker also somehow didn't do that well. I think as Walker tying him up as a necessity lowered your ceiling a little bit because you weren't getting Jonathan Taylor as much then. But it was interesting to see for that. So same way if I played that for the main slate, play it for this slate. If you want to play like the quarter 20 max, the $1.20 max, the play action 20 max, and then you like put a bunch of the milli makers, single entries, whatever. Just play one of those where you fade Lamar entirely and to see if it wins you enough money, then it might cover your slate, depending on how much you're playing and depending on which one you put those entries into. But Lamar's in every lineup. He should be projection-wise, yada, yada. Number 2 is Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers, 92% of lineups he's in, 20% of these in captain, 72% in the flex. So Zay Flowers coming up a lot. Not a surprise he's too cheap, though it does seem like projection-wise, Zay Flowers a little bit lower, I think, than Stochastic. Stochastic had him at... No, you know what? They're higher. Stochastic has him at 18.03. ETR has him at 18.6. So ETR likes some more, but he doesn't get into every lineup. Surprising. Salvers put Bateman in more lineups. Yeah, Bateman's at number 3. 80% Bateman overall in these top 25 lineups. He's pretty cheap, I guess, relatively. He's in captain too. 16% of the time here. But he's in 80% of lineups of the top 25 lineups with no variance put up top, no stacking rules. Jared Goff, number 4, 64% of lineups have him, and Sam Laporte is in 60% of these lineups. Overall, there's Bateman, Zay, Lamar, and Justice Hill in 20% of lineups. That group might come in a little bit too handily. You might actually get more Ravens onslaughts and naturally projections than I would think, because it seems like a balanced build kind of slate, but the projections seem to support more Ravens here. Stack construction, yeah, you're getting 4-2 Ravens in half these lineups, basically 3-3 lineup builds and 36%, and then onslaught builds at 16. So you're naturally getting onslaughts for the Ravens here. That would mean, another spoiler alert, another way to get unique would be to play heavier Lions builds, because you're not getting 4-2 Lions builds coming up naturally at the projections. You're not getting 5-1 Lions builds coming up naturally at the projections. Obviously, there's a reason for that. The team total is really high, and Baltimore is projected for 28.5 points. But if you get a game script where the Lions somehow crush today, going to be under-owned, I would guess. But let's put on some variants. Let's put in showdown settings here, but I'm going to make it a little bit less specific to mine. All right, and let's take the max ownership off. So we're not going to have any 50K lineups in here, but we will have ones up to 49.9. Let's make sure my boosts are okay. We're boosting RB from the same team by 10%. Boosting my receiver. QB. All right, yeah, that's all good. All right, let's... Oh, wait, where'd the variants go? Did I not just have variants on? I feel like I saw it being on. Maybe not. All right. Optimize. Oh, it's because I imported settings and it took it off. That's why. That was a me error, not a solver error. If you want to play with the solver yourself, by the way, it is an optimizer like your classic fantasy cruncher, except, they don't really yell on you on Twitter. So that's definitely an improvement on that front. But also the product is similar. Then they had the sim part put on with ETR data baked in. So you have to pay for an ETR sub separately, but get the solver tool itself. You can also use the solver's data. They update. And again, much like fantasy cruncher, it's the same shit. It's not as, not as bespoke as ETRs or Stochastic are, but, it'll do the job for you if you want. But check it out. Link down below. Promo code SPLASH will work over there. Same thing for Stochastic. But really do please click the links, support these products, or buy these products because it does support the show directly. And willing to see the numbers come up here, because I hope it'll come up with basketball season. But it has been not as great as it should be for NFL season. I'm not sure if I'm losing SEO on my promo codes. So I don't know what the deal is. But please click the links. Use the things. Solver is a great tool though. Their portfolio tool especially, which I talk about a lot here, you hit diversify lineups. You can build 15 different portfolios of a 20 max, a 150 max. It's a really nice tool to have because it allows you to control your exposures more. It does take more time though, so I'm not going to put it in for this one. Let's use the Millie Maker here, or the 500K to first showdown, because they do build these out for the showdown slates. And let's run that simulator. Let's see what we get here. Got to be some Bateman captain if I had to guess. I think the ETR data is liking Bateman more than I would have thought. Yes, the sports betting's taking away DFS players. I mean, I'm sure that's a part of it. But man, I was really doing well off of the affiliate stuff for a while, and it is not been as good this month, and it's scaring me. They're running out of ways to bankroll the channel, guys. So please click those links. Do that. Join the Discord. Join the Discord. And let's make a $1,000 a month tier, and we can do this. But our top lineup right now, but my own fears of my demise aside, Rashad Bateman at captain, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, David Montgomery, Sam Laporta, Lamar Jackson. This one is 1,100% ROI. Only 3 dupes expected on it as well. You're leaving 2K in salary on the table, going to a lower owned captain that has a better sample size than he has recent performances. I get the logic on this one. I know people don't want to play Bateman, but those are sometimes what it takes to win, especially at a slate like this where you have so many dudes you might want to cram into the lineup that can give you, 15 to 25 points. Sometimes how it works out. Your number 2 lineup here is a Mark Andrews guy. We're getting ugly at captain up top with the ETR data. This one only has a 660% ROI, so about half what the last one was. So really a big cosign on that Bateman lineup. Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Montgomery and Laporta again, Lamar Jackson again. So very similar stuff. Actually, the exact same lineup, but you got the 2 Ravens up top. So look, I don't want to play these lineups now that we've read them out loud, but clearly ETR's data strongly believes in this Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, David Montgomery, Laporta, Lamar Jackson core with an actual projectable receiver at captain. The 2 top lineups have that same base. You don't see that very often for a showdown slate. Number 3 is Lamar Jackson at captain. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ravens D, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, 5-1 onslaught here with Amon-Ra St. Brown as the bring back, which is normally how you want your 5-1 builds to be with an onslaught. You want to have a receiver coming back, unless you think a team totally craters, that he can play just the defense on the opposing side. Kind of an assumption that, no player scores more than 10 fantasy points, basically. Doesn't happen very often, though. So Amon-Ra being the bring back here, that works. Leaving $900 on the table, and you're getting a 500% ROI for that one. Shout out, Jack. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate all you guys watching live here. Hit that like button, subscribe. You guys know the deal at this point. Number 4 lineup, Zay Flowers, the captain. Now we're getting to the good stuff. Zay Flowers, captain. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derrick Henry, Rashad Bateman makes it. I don't know the Z. I don't know what the Z stands for. Mitchell Payden. What? Not a name I can't. Okay, so Zaire Mitchell Payden, the Baltimore tight end 3 on the slate. He is playing 15 snaps week 1, 14 snaps week 2. Oh, man, I don't know if... Okay, I have him in my sheet. He is averaging 0.5 intended touches a game on 1.5 routes per game. Right, but he's been targeted 3, one of the times he ran a route. So he got 1 target out of 3 routes, I think is what this math works out to. And it was in the red zone. You know what this fucker looks like? And I forget the guy. Was it Richard who was in this chat and in my stochastic chat as well? Guy touting Jackson Hawes on the Thursday Bills slate. This guy looks like Jackson Hawes looked in the data. So I don't think that means he makes a winning lineup. Even Jackson Hawes with his touchdown on that Thursday slate didn't make the winning lineup, if I'm remembering correctly. At least I think on the large field stuff. But this guy catching a touchdown. If you see this fucker catch a touchdown today, remember Zaire Mitchell Payden, because he fucking looks like the kind of guy to catch this touchdown to slate like this that, you still probably don't want to play, but it's weird to see him coming up here. Lamar Jackson as well. Another 5-1 build with Amon-Ra as the bring back. I appreciate that. Bring the best rookie takes. We'll see how things go this year. Yes. A lot of rookies are making me nervous, but they don't have full workloads. Like Bashal Tunes making me nervous. Judkins making me nervous a little bit. And I had more Judkins than I wanted to have, I think. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So the year is young. And our 5th best lineup, Lamar Jackson at captain again. Lamar, Jamison Williams, David Montgomery, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman. ETR's top lineups here in the sim. Loving Rashad Bateman. Loving Lamar Jackson, not a surprise. Really not loving Jahmyr Gibbs up top. Your best Gibbs lineup is Lamar, captain, Jahmyr Gibbs, Zay Flowers, 400% ROI in this one. Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, Justice Hill. So no Derrick Henry. Yeah, Justice Hill. It's leaving 2,100 on the table as well. But overall, the best ROI players, Ravens D, which barely gets played, but when it does hit, 500% ROI for Ravens D when it's in a lineup. 125% ROI for David Montgomery, only in the flex. But that's with a lot of exposure, 28% exposure in the flex. So Montgomery can make the winning lineup. So when he does make them, obviously it seems to be paying off a lot of these top ones. Number 3 is Rashad Bateman, 109% ROI, and he's in 58% of these lineups, including 10% at captain. Zaire Mitchell Payden, who we just talked about, 100% ROI, and 83% of these lineups that he's in. Zay Flowers, a 98% ROI in these 73% of lineups that he's in. So does seem like an important core play. Derrick Henry, not that far behind. Lamar, not that far behind. but a lot more exposure for Lamar than Derrick Henry, it looks like. Player stacks, nothing to note here. We've got the most 4-2s with the Lions, some 3-3 Ravens, some 5-1 Ravens. But again, the Lions onslaughts, Lions dominant builds, the 4-2, they're not coming up as much. Let's see what Stochastic has, the last stage of our journey here before I do a hand build. So let's load this up. 50,000 lineups here. That is one difference. On ETR, it is kind of like a pain in the ass in the solver to get more than 1,000 lineups built. On Stochastic, you get a 50,000 lineup pool. So they both have different merits. Personally, and this is fucked up, but I'll just tell you guys, be real with you guys, I always am here. I like Stochastic more for the showdown slates because you get so many more lineups. You have a better read on what's every viable lineup possible in a showdown. For the main slate, I do like using ETR because I have more control there of whatever I'm trying to do. I just still reference both, but I think they both have utility here. If you have the money, you have the means, and you wanna lose more money or or you want a shot at the upside. Really, it does go both ways. Check out Stochastic, 15% off link down below. Solver, same thing here. Promo code SPLASH on both sides, but do check him out here. And really, get him for a week if you want. Just try it out. If you've been waiting, sitting on the sidelines here, which I don't know, watches my stream that doesn't try these tools at least once, but do recommend checking them out. Always different reasons for different tools. I wish I had a SaberSim deal too, to be honest, because I would love to do more SaberSim. I've done a SaberSim trial before, but never really spent. I think I actually did a month on it that I paid for. I never really spent a lot of time on it because it's hard for me to justify paying for stuff when I get access to enough good tools for free. But SaberSim too, I'd be curious about how it looks on that side of the fence. You remember Ladarius Green? That's a name. That's a classic. Let's just name some guys game, and he's definitely one of those names. There's a spot for Andrews flop flag at any lower ownership. This should be it. I agree. Deowens. Your top ROI lineup here for Stochastic. Close to a few others, though. It's not as big of a disparity as opposed to ETR, where there's a pretty big chasm between number 1 and 2 and the rest of the lineups overall. Derrick Henry at captain. So we're going a different way here. Derrick Henry captain, Jahmyr Gibbs here. Ravens D in this one. So this is looking totally different. Sam Laporta, Tyler Loop, Zay Flowers. All right. Stochastic and ETR are like not in lockstep at all. Like I feel like previous seasons, it was really close. And this year, not so much. Zay Flowers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jake Bates, Lamar Jackson, Ravens D again, Tyler Loop again. So Ravens defense, Ravens kicker coming in a lot more than ETR was giving him credit for. And Jake Bates makes it too. Number 3, this might just be like a bias within both softwares, to be honest. But let's see the rest. Ravens D at captain here for Stochastic at number 3. Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, Lamar Jackson, Rashad Bateman, Tyler Loop. I mean, look, no one's going to play this shit, but it still makes sense as a game theory kind of build. Check down city, Jahmyr Gibbs is your one Lion. The rest of it's an onslaught. Rashad Bateman, both sites going, hey, this Bateman guy, he may suck, but nobody wants to play him, and that makes him suck less relative to playing a showdown. Number 4, Lions D at captain. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derrick Henry, Jared Goff, Sam Laporta, Zay Flowers. Okay. Get another defensive captain is really the main takeaway here. And you are playing Detroit dominant, which does seem underrepresented based on the ETR stuff. And at number 5, Laporta captain, David Montgomery. These guys were coming up on ETR as well. They're not a captain. Jahmyr Gibbs, Lamar Jackson, Ravens D, Zay Flowers. Man, so Ravens D in 3 of these top lineups. Yeah, 3 of the top 5 lineups have Ravens D, one of which a captain. One of the lineups says Lions D. This is crazy. This is like completely fucking, I don't know. Like I'm usually pretty good at like at least coming up with something to say about this data, but it's like shocking to see it be this disparate between the two sites. Like I don't recall it being, it's been different more this year than it has been in different seasons and the last few seasons, but this is like worlds away. Top ROIs according to Stochastic, Ravens D at captain has a 79% ROI. So when it hits, it wins you all the money. Lions D at captain, same thing, 36% ROI. It hits less frequently than Ravens D, but when it does hit, you're getting paid out comparably well. Ravens D in the flex at number 3, 32% ROI there. Isaac Tesla, 27% ROI at captain. What? That's not going to, no. Tylan Wallace at captain. Come on. Are they thinking it's going to be one of those slates where like you have the shitty captain, but in all the stars that it allowed you to afford? That's the only thing I could think of here. Tylan Wallace, 8% of captain. Tez Walker. He caught some touchdowns lately that seemed like they're due to go Bateman's way at some point, I would hope. But Devontae Walker here. Tez Walker, 8% ROI for him. David Montgomery, 4.5% ROI and captain as well. These are all captain. Like, this is a fucking wacky. Man, I like the ETR lineups better. I'll say it. I'm going to be on live before lock for Stochastic today, so I hope they change before then because I'm going to have to tap dance. This sim, this is a wacky sim. Tez Walker, 2.4% ROI here. But you know what? Like, sometimes I got to say for Stochastic, the times where I feel that the most strongly, where I'm just like, what the fuck? That's when like they're dead on and I'm like completely wrong. So that's happened enough times. Doesn't happen every time, but it's happened enough times that I don't even want to have that strong of an opinion about it. I'm gonna put up the Stochastic ad though. If you want, please go sign up for Stochastic if you want to really get different on the slate. Lamar Jackson, 54% exposure in the flex, 51% for the field. So he's your highest exposed guy overall. Ravens D, holy shit. Ravens D in the flex, 45% exposure, fields at 9, 5x the exposure on Ravens D. They gotta adjust that. There's no way that holds, but noteworthy to see, I guess. Derrick Henry, if you have that much Ravens D, you might as well take Derrick Henry. 43% Derrick Henry in the flex, fields at 38. Jahmyr Gibbs, 38% exposure in the flex, fields at 32. David Montgomery, 36% in the flex, fields at 27. Highest exposed captains, Lamar Jackson at 19%, fields dead even with it, so not a big stand there. Zay Flowers at 14%, fields at 17 and change, so actually a little bit of a fade on Zay Flowers. Derrick Henry at 12%, fields at 10, so slightly pro stand on Derrick Henry. Jahmyr Gibbs, 2x the ownership expected at captain, 12% for Stochastic. And their top 150, fields at 6% and change. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 9%, fields 12.5. So really flat captain exposure compared to especially the projections. Again, it does acknowledge the fact that a lot of guys do seem to have like captain ceiling levels and your pricing's pretty tight. But yeah, this is a lot. There's a lot to take in, honestly, the lineup builds. And you're getting Ravens D 5% in captain, Lions D 3% in captain. So that agenda continues on. The biggest fades overall, I guess, biggest leverage plays to look at first. Biggest leverage was Ravens D. That shouldn't be a surprise there. 36.5% more than the field's expected to play. David Montgomery, 9% more in the flex than the field's going to play. Hopkins, 6% more in the flex. 2x the amount the field's expected to play. Given that Hopkins has been good and the routes haven't been plentiful, I do think casuals will play Hopkins a little bit more than they're expecting, but 12% ownership for Hopkins in the flex feels fine. Lions, 6% in the flex. Lions D coming in. And Jahmyr Gibbs, 6% more than the expected amount in the flex. And 2x a captain. Stochastic likes the defenses and Gibbs, it seems, a good amount relative to the field. Negative exposure or negative leverage here. The biggest fade Stochastic has. Jared Goff in the flex, negative 13% there. Still playing him 29% of the time, but not as much as the field's 42. Sam Laporte at 12% less in the flex. Justice Hill, 10% less in the flex. J-Mo, 10% less in the flex. Both these guys under 15% expected ownership. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, 10% less in the flex as well. 25% exposure. Well, fuck, man. The Stochastic sim is going to like shit all over what I want to build. That's how I feel about this one. But all right, I'll go to Stochastic sim here. Let's build the single lineup sim. Got another great tool, part of the process here. And let's go to the showdown stuff. Bateman, 73 air yards, 25 actual yards. Sure. I mean, look, I think he's due for positive regression, but he also unequivocally is playing less well than DeAndre Hopkins. So if Hopkins' routes go up because he's playing so well, Bateman's are going to suffer. And Tez Walker, frankly, I'm like, how many is he playing? I don't have it in this sheet. He played 13 snaps in week 2. Hopkins played 10 in week 2. And then Bateman, relatively to that, Bateman played 33. You really, when you just go through the snap counts, you get why Bateman comes up so much. Like, it's been so much success in a limited amount of time for Hopkins. And again, that can continue on because like they're scheming him very specific kind of touches or opportunities rather. For Tez Walker, he's also gotten these red zone looks that it feels like, where are they coming from? Bateman's probably due for all of that, but so is Mark Andrews to some extent. All right, let's start this lineup though. I mean, I like Zay at captain, but I think it's possible he doesn't make it there. He's got to be in this lineup for me, though. So I'm going to go Zay Flowers. Let's put him in the flex. Put him at captain automatically. Let's go Zay Flowers here. I don't think Bateman I want to play captain. Do I want to play Bateman at all? I guess is the bigger question here. And I do want to play Gibbs. Let me get Gibbs in here and see how we're looking. I'm thinking Lamar has to be captain, right? Because I don't believe in Bateman getting enough of a share. I think it's a spot where I want to play a bunch of Ravens pass catchers. So I am going to go Lamar here again. Does feel like because of the fact the last time these two teams played, I think people will look up the fact they played a couple of years ago, or they might remember it like I do offhand. 350 passing yards for how that looks. Like, people will probably play Lamar as a passer more than they would normally because of the fact he was so good as a passer the last time these two teams played, and they don't play very often. So I think that might be a thing that stands out more. Again, this is me, what we talked about yesterday, where it's like, I don't want to think that my thoughts were so special, even though I prep as hard as anybody. I think I know this stuff as much as anybody from my career choices and what I do, here on stream so often. That said, like, whenever you think you have special snowflake thoughts, you usually don't. I do think people are going to play Lamar as a passer a little bit more because of the fact, they've seen it, and also the fact Lamar was, pretty good as a passer last time these two teams played. But I'm still going to try it out in this lineup. So we'll go Lamar at captain, Zay Flowers. We're also going to throw Bateman in. I'm also going to throw Mark Andrews in. It just feels to me like he's due for a touchdown. And if we don't get the bullshitty Tez touchdown, if we don't get the bullshitty Hopkins touchdown, I think the shot's higher for Andrews to get one. I'm not going to use Pat Ricard. I don't wish to do that. Even if he catches a touchdown, there's really not a guarantee he makes a winning lineup. It's also part of why I'm not using a Charlie Kolar type. We have 4,900 left, so we can't afford the kickers here. We could afford DeAndre Hopkins, but I don't want to do that. Stochastic Sim does love Ravens D. But I want to play a 5-1. 5-1s by the Ravens were coming up naturally enough. Playing Lions D might be more unique. Where you say Lamar gives away a sack. I don't know. Because these guys are all probably scored a touchdown. At least Bateman and Andrew, I think, would have to score a touchdown in this build. What else can we do here? Maybe go Khalif Raymond on a day where people are going to try to play the Tesla flip inning. It's another way to do it. I'm going to try that. Khalif Raymond. Come on down. Justice Hill would make sense. I just don't want to do a 5-1. Let's see what we got here. The team that I'm simming out right now, Lamar Jackson at captain, Zay Flowers, Jahmyr Gibbs, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, Khalif Raymond. We also see like the team doesn't have Ravens D, and we're expecting there to be like what? 24.5 implied points. Yeah, 24.5 implied points for the Lions. So there has to be more touchdown equity for the Lions in this, I think. If I come off Gibbs, go down to Montgomery, leaves us 9,300. Oh, then we can afford. I guess I get why the Montgomery Laporta lineups were coming up here. Montgomery, JMO, same thing. All right. So we're swapping in Montgomery and JMO. Still a Lamar triple here. So Lamar, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews, David Montgomery, Jameson Williams. Does this give me positive? All right. That's positive. How do we make it more positive? Go down to Laporta, maybe. So swapping JMO for Sam Laporta. That leaves 3,900 on the table. That's too much on the table, huh? Ravens have been getting cooked by deep routes. No, they haven't. They've been giving up a 0.05 EPA on those plays. 54.5% completion rate. It's not accurate. They've not been getting cooked on deep routes. Getting targeted more on deep routes, but even still less than Detroit does. I don't think that's accurate. You gotta say stuff. If I have a sheet here that tells it for this reason. You can't say stuff. D Owens, I know you're passionate about your team, but that's not correct. All right. One more swap here. What if we go? Can Goff make it, but his receivers don't? Probably not. Maybe play Derrick Henry too. Play the full ask. Can we just play 6 Ravens and see how it does? I feel like I should have just stuck with the one positive ROI one I got because I'm losing steam here. Like I'm sure you guys are. All right, we have 5,300 left. And it's got to be a Lion. I mean, at this point, I think you just play Tesla, right? And then just hope that he gets into the box late when they're getting fucking blown out. This team is not going to test well. I give up. When this comes up negative 100% ROI, I'm done for the day here. Negative 28% ROI. It never wins. I hate that so much. For my Lamar, Zay, Derrick Henry, Bateman, Andrews, Tesla team, I don't think that never wins. But I give up here. I don't fucking care. I'll build good lineups here. And I don't have you guys. It's like have somebody watching you pee, or you're somebody waiting like when you're at a stadium, you got a lot of people behind you in line. I don't know, man. I get a shy bladder. I get a shy bladder here, and the ROI is telling me to play. Probably wants me to play Ravens and Lions together here. But I appreciate all you guys watching live here. Please, why am I locked into? Because I don't want to change a million things here. I'm not trying to build 50 different lineups. I'm just trying to build off the base of what I wanted to do, and it didn't work out that well. You can try different ones, though. And in fact, I encourage you to do so over at Stochastic, 15% off. Link down below. Please check it out. Promo code SPLASH. You can sim lineups. Wait, in fact, I encourage you to build many hand-built lineups of the Sims. See how they grade out. See what you want to do. Pay for ETR and Stochastic and sim them both out. See how they compare. It's going to be different today, but I do encourage you guys to check it out. Promo code SPLASH. Also, make sure to check out the solver. Promo code SPLASH as well. And subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. I'm giving you guys my 3 unique takeaways here. But if you got any value in this video, even if you're just going to fade everything I say, please hit the like button. Please subscribe here. Again, really happy to see the engagement you guys are giving me each video. Please keep it up because I would like the YouTube algorithm to finally go, oh, we should suggest this more again now. That'd be nice because I think I do a good job for DFS. I can't get everything right, but still. All right, 3 takeaways to get unique on the slate. Number 1, fade Lamar. That's unfortunately what it is. It doesn't mean like I recommend you do these things, but it does mean it's going to get you unique right away. So fading Lamar, he's going to be in every lineup very easily. If he somehow doesn't get there, injury, I don't know. Injury is really probably the main one. If he doesn't get there, though, yeah, you'll win all the money. So I think playing some lineups without Lamar, take the approach I mentioned here. Just put him in the quarter jukebox. Play a 20 lineup set with no Lamar. And if you somehow win, great. You won a tournament because you were the only person to play 20 lineups with no Lamar. Number 2 way to get unique, it is playing the defenses. The ownership seems low. I don't think you want it as much as Stochastic Sims are going to give you. It's going to be a lot of defenses. That said, people sometimes miss that team totals are a reflection of different things that can happen in a game. When you have 28.5 implied points, Jared Goff on the road, East Coast City. I don't think it's going to be cold or anything, but maybe he turns it over. Maybe there's a pick 6. Maybe there's a return touchdown. We have had more opportunities there for teams. There's ways the defenses can make it. So I'm not like crazy. I don't have like a real game theory take or a real like, I see the data and you should play the Ravens D, you should play the Lions D. But it does seem like you should probably play some because they're coming up pretty well simmed. And number 3 way to get unique on the slate. I mean, look, I don't think it's getting unique, but both sites saying play Rashad Bateman. The snaps back it out. The fact he's putting up 33 snaps. Tez Walker catching touchdowns at 13 snaps. Hopkins catching touchdowns at 10 snaps. The workload favors Bateman pretty tremendously. Chasing volume here is a thing that matters for DFS. The play volume for Baltimore is really low to start the year, which is part of the concern I have for the game environment. But low play volume and a high total sometimes means you get more efficiency on less plays. That could mean Bateman going off and having a long touchdown that I would say he's like, probably, he's not desperately due for, but compared to how he played last year, it's pretty desperately due for. So Bateman is your 3rd way to get unique here. But that's it, guys. Appreciate the kind chats. I'll pull them up here instead of just pulling them up. I'm off screen. 2 defense, 2 kickers with Hopkins and Tesla. Ship it. There you go. Nolan's just trying to get you guys to play dumb lineups. Richard did Lamar, Bateman, Zay, Walker, Gibbs, Laporta. I don't know. You can find out in the sim. We call that stage fright. That is stage fright. That is a different kind of stage fright for sure. As a former Gopher, hope Bateman does well tonight. I hope so too. I think he's due for a big day, but we'll see. We'll see. But I appreciate all you guys being here again. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on Thursday for another showdown slate. I now go to my cave and prepare for this stuff. But I'm excited to see what happens on here. And join the Discord too, guys. I do pop in there throughout the week. So if you miss me on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, there's always some football stuff to talk about, some injury stuff to talk about, some things of victory laps, things to cry about in the Discord. But join the channel. Get out to the Discord immediately when you click. I'll link in the description. And gamble responsibly, guys, even though it's always money time here. I should probably get the thing I say every video right at the end. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at Splash Play Pod. And I will see you guys again actually tonight on Stochastic. So, wait, fuck. Is StreamYard doing a thing where I can't scroll? Okay. I'm in a hell with StreamYard lately. If I click this, does it do anything? I haven't updated that in a while. No, it just won't let me go down. So I can't hit the exit music. Well,